Before we get into what might genuinely be the most exciting and the most controversial topic this channel has covered in weeks, let me say this right now. If you are not subscribed yet, hit that button, smash that like, and turn on the bell notification, because we are closing in on 5,000 subscribers and the content on this channel does not stop. Not on weekends, not on holidays, not ever. The Blue Jays never sleep and neither does this channel. Now let's get into it, because today we have two massive stories that are going to have this fan base talking, debating, and losing sleep in the best possible way. First, we need to talk about what just happened in Dunedin, Florida, because this one is genuinely special and it deserves every bit of attention it is getting across the baseball world this week. And then we are going to dive headfirst into the trade rumor that has divided every single Blue Jays fan forum, comment section, and group chat on the internet right now. Joe Ryan, Arjun Nimmo, JoJo Parker, Ernie Clement. The price is steep, the debate is real, and we are going to break it all down right here, right now. Let's go. Let's start with the news that made every Blue Jays fan smile this week, even in the middle of one of the most injury-plagued starts to a season any defending pennant winner has ever endured. Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember the Shohei Ohtani frenzy? Do you remember when Toronto made their run at signing the greatest two-way player baseball has ever seen? Do you remember the excitement, the dreams, the absolute feverish hope that the Blue Jays could bring that unicorn talent to Rogers Center? Well, they did not land Ohtani. The Dodgers won that sweepstakes and they have been insufferable about it ever since, as Dodgers fans tend to be. But here is the thing. The idea of a two-way player never left the organization. The Blue Jays filed that concept away, waited for their moment, and in the 10th round of the 2025 MLB draft, they selected a 22-year-old left-handed outfielder and pitcher out of the University of San Diego by the name of Austin Smith. And on April 9th of this year, Austin Smith walked to the mound for the Dunedin Blue Jays against the St. Lucie Mets and made his professional pitching debut. Now, let's be completely honest with each other here. The debut itself was not exactly a jaw-dropping highlight reel moment. Smith recorded 1 out, allowed 1 hit, gave up 1 run, and issued 2 walks before his day was done on the mound. 1 out. That is the entirety of the pitching line. But here is what you need to understand about why this moment is so much bigger than those numbers suggest, and why every person who covers the Blue Jays organization is buzzing about this kid. The debut itself is almost entirely irrelevant. What matters is the process. What matters is that Toronto has a genuine two-way prospect in their system, and they are taking his development seriously enough to actually let him do both things at the professional level. Think about what Austin Smith's day looks like right now. He arrives at the ballpark before everyone else. He takes batting practice as an outfielder. He runs to the bullpen to work with the pitching staff. He runs back to the outfield for defensive reps. He bounces back and forth between 2 completely different sets of coaches, 2 completely different physical and mental disciplines, all while competing in a full professional baseball season. Smith himself described it perfectly when he said it is double the work, but that is what he signed up for when he decided to be a two-way player. He added that the coaches have been great about communicating with him and letting him do what he needs to do. And that organizational support is everything when it comes to making this kind of experiment actually work over the long haul. Smith is a left-hander at the plate and on the mound. In college at San Diego, he was a genuinely accomplished hitter, putting up a career/line of .305/.404/.443 with 20 home runs in nearly 1,000 plate appearances. He earned all WCC first-team honors in back-to-back seasons and was a finalist for the John Olerud Two-Way Player of the Year award, which is almost poetic given the history of that name in Blue Jays lore. In his first professional season as a pure outfielder in 2025, he hit .259 with 5 doubles, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and a .789 OPS across 23 games. He also had a perfect fielding percentage across all 3 outfield positions and threw out a runner at home. Not bad for a 10th-round pick in his first taste of pro ball. This season the bat has started a little slow at .200 through 5 games, but that is noise. Early season numbers in Single-A baseball mean almost nothing in terms of projecting a player's long-term ceiling, and anyone who tells you otherwise has never watched minor league development up close. The vision here is long-term, And the vision is electric when you actually sit down and think about it. Imagine 2 years from now, 3 years from now, a Blue Jays player who can start in center field on Tuesday, take the mound to close out a game on Wednesday, and then be back in the lineup on Thursday. A player who gives John Schneider a dimension that no other manager in baseball can access. A player who creates lineup and roster construction advantages that compound over the course of a long season and a postseason run. That is the dream with Austin Smith. And the fact that the Blue Jays are genuinely investing in making it happen tells you everything you need to know about how this organization thinks about winning baseball. Could it fail? Of course. Very few two-way players have successfully translated their college abilities to the professional level on both sides of the ball. The history of these experiments is littered with guys who tried and eventually had to choose one path or the other. But the Blue Jays did not draft Austin Smith to tick a box or generate a fun social media post. They drafted him because they see something real in this kid, and they are putting the infrastructure and the coaching around him to give him the best possible chance to become something genuinely special. That is worth getting excited about. That is worth following closely. And that is exactly the kind of forward-thinking, outside-the-box roster construction that Ross Atkins and this front office have become known for over the past few years. Now let's shift gears because we have a trade debate on our hands that has absolutely lit up the Blue Jays fan base this week, and it needs to be addressed directly, thoroughly, and honestly. Sports Illustrated dropped a mock trade proposal that sent shockwaves through every corner of the internet, and the idea is this. The Toronto Blue Jays send Arjun Nimmala, JoJo Parker, and Ernie Clement to the Minnesota Twins in exchange for starting pitcher Joe Ryan. And the reaction from fans has been exactly what you would expect. Half the fan base losing their minds with excitement at the idea of adding a two-time All-Star starting pitcher to a rotation that desperately needs help, and the other half absolutely screaming that you do not give up the future of your franchise when Berrios, Bieber, and Kikuchi are all on their way back from injury. Both sides have legitimate arguments. Let's work through this properly. First, let's talk about Joe Ryan and why he is generating so much trade interest to begin with. Ryan is 29 years old, a two-time All-Star coming off what might be the best season of his career in 2025, when he went 13-10 with a career-low 3.42 ERA and struck out 194 batters. He is not a rental. He is under contract through 2026 and has a mutual option for 2027, meaning if both sides agree, you can have him for 2 more seasons at a combined cost of around $19 million. That is a genuine bargain for an arm of that caliber in today's pitching market. Through 3 starts this season, he has a 4.40 ERA and 17 strikeouts in 14 1/3 innings, with his command still being refined but the stuff clearly still there. He is consistent, he is durable, and he gives a rotation a genuine backbone. The Blue Jays, who are currently starting Patrick Corbin in a crucial homestand series against the Twins themselves, could absolutely use that backbone right now. The Twins, meanwhile, are widely expected to begin a rebuild. They went 70-92 last year, their first losing record in years, and while they have started the season more competitively than people expected, most executives around baseball believe Minnesota is heading toward a major roster overhaul. And when a rebuilding team has a controllable ace like Joe Ryan, the most logical thing in the world is to trade him for a package of young pieces that can fuel that rebuild. That is Baseball 101. Which means Ryan is genuinely available, and the asking price is going to be substantial, because the Twins know exactly what they have and they are not going to let him go for pennies. Now here is where the debate really ignites. The proposed package in that Sports Illustrated mock trade is Arjun Nimmala, JoJo Parker, and Ernie Clement. Let's talk about each of these pieces individually, because understanding their value is the key to understanding whether this trade makes any sense at all. Arjun Nimmala is the Blue Jays' third-ranked prospect according to the organization. He was a first-round pick in 2023, selected 20th overall. He is a shortstop with genuine star potential, and at just 20 years old, he already has scouts across baseball paying close attention to his development. He is the kind of prospect that organizations protect at almost all costs because the upside is so significant and the position is so valuable. Trading him means trading a future cornerstone of your infield, and you do not do that lightly. JoJo Parker is the Blue Jays' second-ranked prospect. Another infielder with a serious bat, representing the kind of organizational depth at premium positions that took years to build. Giving up both Nimmala and Parker in one transaction would be a significant blow to a farm system that, while talented at the top, does not have bottomless depth behind those two names. And then there is Ernie Clement. Oh, Ernie Clement. Look, let's be real about what Ernie Clement represents to this fan base right now. He is not just a baseball player on this team. He is a symbol. He is the postseason hits record holder. He is the guy who shows up in the biggest moments and delivers. He leads the team in batting average and hits early this season at .271, and he does so with a kind of quiet reliability and defensive excellence that makes him genuinely difficult to replace. Sending Ernie Clement to Minnesota in a trade would feel like losing a piece of the heart of this clubhouse, and Blue Jays fans would feel that loss immediately and personally. So the question becomes, is Joe Ryan worth all of that? And the honest answer is complicated. If the Blue Jays were a team without injured starting pitching on the horizon, if Berrios and Bieber and Kikuchi were not all steadily progressing toward returns, if the rotation depth was a long-term problem rather than a short-term injury situation, then yes, you could make a serious argument that Ryan is worth the price. But that is not the situation. Jose Berrios is throwing live batting practice and hitting 95 miles an hour. Yusei Kikuchi is ramping up toward what could be his final rehab start before returning to the rotation.